Welcome to another night TalkTruth series, and we're glad to have you here with us tonight. I want to say hi, peeps, and hope all my Jamaican folks is enjoying their Emancipation Day because it was indeed, from 1838 and now reach independence, emancipation, and thing. So we think large and in charge. Yeah, big up, YouTube world. Thank you guys for coming out to another Real Connection Men edition. And we have to have treat for you guys. So remember to like, share, subscribe, We always have something sweet for you. And tonight is nothing less. So mm, tonight, this is how the trailer starts. Men have been known for bottling up their feelings instead of discussing them. However, not too many men realize this behavior is not normal. Oftentimes, dad passes their behavior to his son unknowingly. The cycle continues, and we're left with a generation of young men that are raging alcoholics, drug addicts, and sexual deviants who mistreat themselves and potential partners. From Enfield, CT, which is Connecticut, Caleb Harris, author of Suffering in Silence, which was released no, August 15, 2003, a complicated story of one 27-year-old substitute teacher, Ricky Johnson, addressed their issue. So tonight with us is the author and the man who is going to speak to the men out there to deal with their emotions and things and what it is like to bottle it up and how it has affected his life. So tonight we have none other than Mr. Caleb, author himself, Caleb Harris.
Hey, what's
Welcome.
going on, man?
Yeah, we're glad to have you here,
Yeah, glad to be here, man. Glad to be here.
because indeed the issue that your book is looking at, suffering in silence, speaking about men, is actually really an inspirational story. So, how is your day going so far?
Oh, it's been going pretty good. Just been staying productive, just basically hanging out in the sun, enjoying life, Mother Nature, and just relaxing with myself.
Oh, yeah, that's good. That's good. And the night is going well as well.
Nope.
Uh-huh. So, what was your journey like to today? Meaning, what was it like during your life? What brought you to this point?
Well, I had a complicated past myself, just like my fictional character, Ricky Johnson. I had my own personal demons that I had to deal with as well, with casual partners, the basically alcohol, definitely marijuana usage as well. But as I got older, it was definitely when I was 25, was January 2nd, 2019. I decided just to clean up my act and become completely sober and put my head in the right direction.
And that's good. So, you said you usually do marijuana. What was it like?
At first, when I was doing it, it was just basically an escape. It was one of those things where it was only going to be temporary, but then I just became really complacent with life and I really didn't want to do anything. I basically just wanted to sit there. And it really affected my studies, it affected my writing, and affected just everything I wanted to actually do. So I decided just to give it up because I just felt like it really wasn't worth it and it wasn't making me happy.
hmm Well, I've never smoked before. So, what? How did it feel like when you're smoking? Like I heard that it make you get high. Describe that high to me.
Yeah, the high is different. You feel like nothing can touch you. You feel as if you're invincible. But the more and more you do it, you just become more complacent and it doesn't really feel as good anymore. And I feel as if, just like with any addiction, whether it's,
Mhm.
pornography, alcohol, drugs, gambling, anything like that, you're basically chasing after the first high. But you have to understand that that high is long gone and it's never going to come back.
Oh, so it's at first when you just start out, the small doses. is okay, but after a while, it's like your brain and your body get immune to it. So you have to like increase the doses in
Right.
order to like get back the same effect. No, that's understand.
Yep.
And you said you went through complicated past. What was it like during that complicated past? Tell me a little
Oh.
about that.
Yeah, with my complicated past, it really had to do a lot with my father and my mother. My mother and my father at one point had gotten along, but then as they got older, I feel as if the relationship just fizzled out. My dad became, more angry. He tried to abuse her when I was 6 years old, and him and I have just had a really like rocky relationship ever since. And we haven't talked for about 10 years, and that's just how life is. I hope that one day we could reconnect, but he has to still admit that what he did was wrong, but he's still actually in denial about the whole situation, which does make it very hard to actually reconnect with each other.
Mhm. So you said they were first close, but it's as if they started drifting. So instead of growing into love, they were growing out. So what was it like as a child experiencing that?
It was definitely weird. I mean, when you're 6 years old, I mean, no one tells you that, your father's going to try and kill your mother right in front of you while you're just trying to watch cartoons on a Saturday night. And, you basically just feel as if, your family's going to be together forever because you're a young boy and you're
Mhm.
still naive. You think that the world is ahead of you. You still feel invincible. You have all these long term plans with your dad and your mother to go to the park and all this kind of stuff. But unfortunately, life happens, and it just didn't work the way I planned it to in my 6-year-old head.
So when you saw your father almost taking your mother's life, what was it like? If you,
Uh, Not fun. Uh, Definitely an eye opener. One of those things where I would try to stop, and he tried to go after me as well. And it was just one of those complicated kind of stories where it's one of those things my mother will still kind of talk about. My dad is, as I said before, just completely in denial about the situation. He feels as if the both of us are still lying, and obviously I have nothing to really lie about. I mean, it's one of those things where
Mhm.
you saw what you saw, and it just doesn't go away. But I think in his mind, maybe he wanted it to just go away, but you can
Yeah.
never know what's going on in one person's mind.
Mm. So after this situation happened, did that force you like did it force you to become like a man before time, you would say?
Yeah, I definitely had to learn how to do a lot of things. Like, I had to learn how to do the household chores of the woman duties and the man duties. And it was definitely, it took a
Mhm.
lot on me. But as I got older, my mother put me around some more men. So, like my track coach, people a part of the church, I reached out to a couple teachers. My
Mhm.
uncle was still around. My grandmother was still around. So I still had a support system. But it was one of those things where still to this day it would have been great to have like a
Yeah.
sane father, but it is what it is. Things just happen in life, and you live, you learn, you move on. So I think when I got older, I just wanted to have my own fun, and unfortunately, I was definitely having a little bit too much fun, and I couldn't understand what I was actually doing.
So when the incident happened at 6 years old,
Right.
you and your mom end up leaving your father, if I'm following the story right.
Yeah,
If
we
you
did.
know.
Yeah, she got a divorce like a little, pretty much. I want to say like a month or two after, and we were just left with the house in New Britain, Connecticut. And he went back to Alabama. We stayed in Connecticut, and my mom just filed for divorce and basically just tried to collect child support. And we couldn't actually afford the house, so we had to sell it and move into an apartment. And then we moved into another apartment, and then years later we would just move into Enfield. But it was just one of those things where it was just so much tension, so much turmoil, and the only thing that kept me sane was like basketball and writing, really.
Mhm. Whoa. Well, too. I heard that especially in a child's life, especially a male
Right.
child life, a father's role is very important. It's
Hmm.
very important. And the fact that you didn't really get the chance to have that bond that really actually put you at a disadvantage, But the fact that you've been through all of that at even 6 years old Many
Yeah.
of us at 6 years old, when you're innocent, you're just getting to know the world. And at 6 years old, you had to look at your father and said goodbye.
Yeah.
And you see the man that's supposed to show you the path actually willing to take your mother's life.
Hmm.
Whoa, whoa. I think if I was six, me not ball. Me not just it's so like
Yeah, sometimes you
touching.
think it's like a nightmare or something, you know. I remember when I was younger, I tried to convince myself that the whole thing didn't happen. I
Mhm,
think there was a time when I told my mother that, Mom, my dad didn't really try to kill us. It didn't happen, and she remembers it very distinctively. But I think it's just one of those things where you want to think it was a nightmare. You want to think that it was just some crazy ass horror film, and it's just like, oh well, it was just a film. It wasn't anything that could possibly happen to me, but it was 100% reality.
mhm. And then the fact that seeing this now, you end up had to be basically there for your mother, giving her support, being that comfort for her. How was it? How was it like living with just your mom?
Interesting to say the least. My mom and I have always gotten along. Obviously, we've had our arguments here and there, but it wasn't
Mhm,
anything like crazy. But it was definitely a very like complicated time because it was just I was around a lot of women at the time, but I wasn't really around too many men. But as I got older, I was put around more men. But I never really knew what it was like to actually like be a man because I never obviously never grew up with one. So I remember my mother she had gotten her bearings together and decided to give relationships another try, but this unfortunately did not work out either because I was my stepdad at the time, and
mhm.
he ended up leaving her because he actually cheated on her with about a couple of other guys. So he was basically like
Oh,
I want to say my father replacement in a way.
mhm,
I obviously know my real father is Tamiko Harris, but it was a man named Tyrone, and I said that okay, he's going to be my father replacement. I'm going to gravitate towards him. So when he left, that made me even more miserable.
mhm. So we're going to take a little break and we're going to take a look at our comment section. So guys, you can always leave a comment, ask a question that you want to ask me or the viewer. And remember, just to let us know you're here, and remember to like, share, and comment, and really stay tuned because this story is really an eye opener. So, someone is saying, "Hi, Caleb.
Hey, how's it going?
You have a powerful testimony. Indeed,
Oh,
a 6 year old child going through all of this. Wow, wow! It being this early in life and being forced to grow up at this. Wow, the story of determination and never giving up. Hi, Lamar. Hi. I hope you're having a lovely night. Hope your night is going well. Elliston is saying, Elliston Davis is saying, good night. Good night.
hey, good night.
Good night. I really hope you can make a difference when you become a dad one day.
Yeah, I hope so too. If I decide to actually have children or not, still debating that.
So Elliston is saying, how did it affected you as a child?
Oh, it's just one of those things where I basically my childhood was ruined. It really was. It just I would try to reconnect with it as much as possible. I remember one of the shows I tried to reconnect with the most was Ed, and Eddie. That was a show that always just took me away from a lot of things. But
Oh yeah.
overall, yeah, I don't really remember much of my childhood. Everything is still kind of a blur. There's good parts and bad parts, but when your father tries to kill your mother, I mean, that's really all you think about, to be honest.
Hmm. I get what you're saying.
No,
But I know the Ed and Eddie, that's the one with the three little brothers are
no,
were they brothers or even best friend? I don't even know.
'cause
But
they
it
were
was
best friends. They all had the same name, Ed, so that's how they all came in common. It's a great
and
show.
it was a funny show, yes.
Yo,
So he's saying I always heard how therapeutical writing can be. So the person is basically saying if writing was basically a therapy for you during that time.
Yeah, writing was definitely a therapy for me. I started writing literally right after that whole incident had happened. It was more I gravitated more to it when I was like 8 years old. I picked it up on and off, but writing was always been a thing. Also that and basketball and those cartoon shows, they definitely helped me out a lot.
So would you say that writing is your way of getting away too? So basically, if writing was your way of escape.
Yeah, I would definitely say that. I'll just pick up a random notebook. I'll just get a pen or a pencil. Sometimes I'll play music. Sometimes I won't play music, and I'll just write. I don't really think about anything.
Mhm.
There's been times when people have been calling my name, and I've been so wrapped up in a story that I literally didn't hear them, and I didn't even have headphones on. So it's just one of those things where it's just that's my personal peace of mind.
So it's like you're trapped in your little therapy session, like,
Yeah,
and
pretty
it's
much. Yo.
and the best listener, and then it's like the pages are saying, "How do you feel while you're writing this? What
Hmm.
what is going on there?" It's like those are the type of questions going on, and you just feel for right, and it's like it's not judging you, it's just listening and want to understand basically.
Right. That's basically how my writing is, and that's basically how my writing style is. Whenever I write stories, I still come up with solutions, but I want to give people a way of just,
Hmm.
understanding how people are and understanding what people go through, because
Hmm.
people just don't do things for random reasons. There's always a reason, but you just gotta stay tuned for what actually happened.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest problems in this world is like we judge people without understanding the situation through their perspective.
Great. Definitely. I definitely agree with that 100%.
I think I've heard it in a book once. I don't remember the book. I think it was some book I studied at school where it's like it said something about don't judge a person until you walk into their skin. I think it was To Kill a Mockingbird. I'm not sure. I don't want to quote so say I'm quoting from a book that I don't remember. But
Right.
I've I've heard it so many times like you can't really understand me if you've never walked in my shoes and stuff like that. So I fully understand what you're saying. Don't cry. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Even though the story touching,
Oh
though, man, nah,
man.
tell you, it's the story touching. So how did yeah, we look at so we looked at that. Denial is real. Hmm.
Yep.
And I think especially when you know you do something wrong, and it sometimes it's the level of how it hurt even a person to it's like it's hard to even accept it. How can I even do so? Like, how could I attempt to even kill my wife? That's how it
Yeah.
feels like.
Mm-hmm.
That sound unreal, and it's like admitting this to my son is like what?
Yeah.
I tell my son say me nearly kill him. How me fi accept that? What kind
Mm-hmm.
of what kind of father is this? And that thing basically because most time we deny things when we feel guilty.
Right. So I think it's just one of those things where he didn't want to going back to the denial is he just maybe he just doesn't want to face the mirror. Maybe it's just one of those things where it's like some people I've read about this. I don't know what book it is, but I've heard that some people get so good at lying about something that they believe it as the actual truth.
Mm-hmm.
So that may be the case.
And I've heard about a lot of things people say like well, fake it till you make it and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Like so, it's like the mirror talk where you tell yourself something in the mirror until you start believing it. So it's just like I get what you're saying. I fully understand what
Hmm.
you're saying. Yeah, but I really believe your story is really touching because age 6 and after experience that is like it should be life changing.
Yeah, definitely.
Hmm. But you said you were an addict. You were addicted to some stuff. What stuffs were you addicted to?
I think it was more alcohol. Marijuana was easy to like really give up. It wasn't like a thing that I was always doing, but it
Mm-hmm.
was basically one of those things when you're a young kid and you're hanging out with your friends and you can't obviously get access to like your 21. So it's like the forbidden fruit. So you always want the forbidden fruit, even though people tell you that you shouldn't
Mm-hmm.
actually eat the forbidden fruit. But the more someone tells you that you shouldn't actually have it, the more you actually desire it. So
Mm-hmm.
when I was younger, I wasn't even like 21. I started drinking when I was like, I think 15, 16 years old. And
Early
it
age.
just kept going on and on and on until I was like in my 20s. And when I actually got it, it didn't really feel too special to me because I had already had it, since I
Mm-hmm.
was like 16. So it was one of those things where I basically just overindulged. Sometimes it wasn't even to have fun. Sometimes I would just be here in my room and I convinced myself that maybe if I would,
Mm-hmm.
drink, then I could write better. Just I played so many mind games with myself and it was just too much for me to bear sometimes.
And would I say, is it that when you feel so intense, like emotionally, like your emotional bottle like start
Right.
run over? That's the moment you feel like drinking because they say that's the only way you could have deal with it at that time.
Yeah, that was definitely it. Definitely, when you're having a lot of stressful times, like your girlfriend dumps you, or
Mm-hmm.
your friends don't want to hang out with you, stressful time at the workplace, or just things like that. It doesn't really become like a fun activity anymore. It just becomes a coping dependency, and that's what was the terrible part about it for me.
Mm-hmm. It was as if like the alcohol was your therapist.
Yeah, definitely, I would say that.
I understand because I heard that a lot of people use different addictions to like like to cope with their problems. And would
Uh,
you say is that because even it's a way of coping? Would you say is that a way of fighting it, or is it a way of just running away from it?
It's a combination of the two, but it's more of the second one, just running away from the problem because I've seen this a lot with a lot of people. It's easier to just, run away from the problem, ignore it, or just act like it doesn't happen. And that's what alcohol will do. Alcohol will literally put you in a whole nother world, and you basically don't have to accept reality. You could basically just say, everything is fine, everything is cool. I have absolutely nothing to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
But once, the high comes down and the hangover it happens in the morning, now you have a phone call full of people that are saying, "Hey, you said this to me. Hey, you did that to me. Hey, do you
Mm-hmm.
remember what you did last night?" And it's that
Yeah.
scary thing where you try to laugh it off and say, "Oh, well, no, I don't remember what I did." And you try to laugh it off with your buddies, but deep
Mm-hmm.
down inside, you're in pain because it's really not that funny.
Mm-hmm. So when did you decide like tell yourself like Caleb, this is no long it's there is no more time to run this race anymore. It's time to actually stand up and face this. When did you realize it was time to face?
Yeah, so it was funny because I was actually, enjoying myself in 2019. It was January 1st.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoying myself with my buddy and his girlfriend at the time. And, I'm having fun with this girl. And we
Uh-huh.
start making out, and, she just completely disappears. And it was one of those things where I was like, all right, cool, whatever. But deep down inside, I was like, well, how could that happen to me? Or making all
Mm-hmm.
these like kind of excuses. And the whole night I really didn't want to go because I was trying to be like a good person, and I was kind of sober for like a couple months, but that day I just I guess I just wanted to have a couple more drinks. I thought that I could pace myself, and I just couldn't do that. So
Mm-hmm.
I remember after that moment, I think my buddy was like, "Hey, take another shot of vodka," and I was just like, "No, I'm good." And that was the moment where I just stopped cold turkey.
Mm. And that's good. Let's hear what the viewers are saying. No, he's saying respect for sharing your voice. Indeed,
Yeah, thanks, man.
indeed.
Appreciate it.
Why do you think your dad left?
Uh, be honest, I think he just never really wanted me. Maybe he just never wanted to have kids. So it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of hard to, get into the mind of my father, even though I probably do share a lot of his tendencies, his facial structures, and everything like that. But maybe he just never wanted to have kids. I know he didn't grow up with his father either. So maybe that's just one of the things, the fear of actually being a dad.
Yeah.
Not too sure on that one, but that would just be my own personal opinion, of course.
Hmm. So, you said you shared a lot of facial or resemblance to your father. Was that, would you say that was kind of painful for your mother, like basically seeing you and seeing and like seeing your father? What was it like?
My mother would tell me when she got older, it was hard to look at me sometimes because I would look a lot more like my father than I look like her. So now, since I believe that I spent more time around my mother and obviously my father, I look
Hmm.
more like my mother more than my father. But obviously, with the nose and the eyes and like the facial hair, I grow out more facial hair on my mother's side than my father's side. But it's one of those things where she would tell me like it was hard to look at you sometimes, Caleb, because you would remind me of your father. But it was one of those things where we just got over it. She never took it out on me, but she told me that there were times where it was painful. But I can understand where she's coming from, though.
Hmm. Yeah, I know that could have been difficult for her on the hand, because I've heard a situation where the mother actually takes it out on the child because of the similar resemblance. But I have to say big up to your mother for not actually blaming your resemblance, as use it as a
Right.
way to hurt you and stuff like that. So I want to say shout out to your mother if she's hearing us right now, because it really takes a strong woman to actually,
Yep, definitely.
hmm to raise a child on her own. Whoa. Yeah, we looked at that already. How do you plan on breaking this cycle of disarray?
Basically just continuing to be sober. I don't really plan on never having a drink ever again. Obviously, I took anger management classes. I've seen some therapists along my journey, so it's just going to be one of those things where I'm basically going to, follow my own morals, my own principles. I'm not going to mistreat women. I'm basically just going to inspire to be a better person every single day. Take it one day at a time.
Hmm. As Caleb's mother, I'm proud of the man get he has become. He has been writing since a child. I am happy he did graduated from high school and college. We both went through counseling. This book is awesome. I want to say tonight, thank you, Miss Owens, for having such a wonderful child. And I want to actually big you up right now for going through all of that and raising your son by yourself without a father, and also, just to go through a lot of that is actually like, it takes a really strong woman to actually do that. And I want to say big ups to you, and I hope people actually look at this story both from Caleb's side and your side as an inspiration that no matter what, it still will work out. To all the single mothers out there who is listening to this, it is possible. Don't give up, and don't blame your child for resembling their fathers. It's not their fault, it's just genetics. And I want to say shout out and thank you for being here.
Yeah,
And
thank you, Mom. Love you much. Definitely. Thank you for raising me.
yeah, I thank her as well. I thank her like I'm my mother. But thank you very much.
Yo,
It still affected you? Is
uh,
I think the person is asking if it's still affecting you right now.
yeah, sometimes it does. It's one of those things where I've learned that when I became sober, your feelings do come back. So everything that you've repressed as a child and all the things that you tried to get rid of and all the things you try to run away from, they do come back. I mean, I do miss my father. I really do. I really wish that I could live in some kind of a fairy tale land where my mother, my father, and I would all just be together. But there's this thing called reality, and yeah, it still affects me to this day. But I've never been one to play the victim. I've always been the one that just put my big boy pants on and just keep pushing forward because that's what people would want me to do.
Hmm. Yeah, man. You have to put on them big boy pants. We can't stay in
Yeah,
a little boy pants forever still, Can't stay in. That's what the Bible said, when I'm a child, I act like a child. But when you become a man, you have to put away those childish things.
yep.
When you're 17, you can wear size 8 or size 7. But when you touch 25 now, you have to wear size 10 and then thing there. So, time for... I respect you. I really respect you, throw away your life, keep on use the alcohol for throw away your life and use it as just a getaway card.
Right.
It take a real man to face them problem. He's a real man.
Definitely.
We can't always look for the simple solutions in life.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to take the hard way. It's hard at first, but I just believe it's something that you just got to face because, sometimes when you look at the mirrors, you don't really like what's looking back at you, but you definitely have to just face your own personal demons because eventually you can only run to so many places. You can only run into the arms of so many people. So
hmm
eventually you just have to face yourself.
I get what you're saying. But really, it's very inspirational. So Miss Blessed is saying, I have tears in my eyes right now. Society wants us to believe that men should face the pressures of life and not have an emotional reaction to it all. What do you believe on that societal saying that, especially when the child fall and there are male child that always say, get up man, you're a man, you
Yeah.
know do that.
Yeah.
How do
Uh-huh.
you see that?
I see it from so many perspectives. I just definitely believe that our society just doesn't understand male feelings at all. And
Mm-hmm.
there's just some people that just don't want their men to actually express themselves at all. I mean, there's some men who grew up in a society where it was just, unfortunately, it was just all women and there were no men around, and no disrespect to women at all, but it was just one of those things where, you know, the single mother probably was very toxic at times, and she probably, in her way, she wanted to raise him to be a man, so she told him, man up, just be a man. I literally just saw this meme earlier before I actually did the show, and it
Mm-hmm.
was, a woman. She was telling her son that you need to man up and be a man. And
Mm-hmm.
then it was years later. It was like 10 years later. He has a girlfriend and he has a child. And then his girlfriend's asking him, "Why don't you ever open up?" And then his thought bubble said, "I don't know how." So
Mm-hmm.
that's definitely one of the long term effects.
Mm-hmm. Because it's like, how do you expect somebody to ride a bike if they've never been taught how to?
Exactly.
I get what you're saying. So Elliston is saying, you sure your father never doing drugs?
I am 100% unsure if he ever did drugs. I think he drank before. You'll have to forgive me. My memory of my father really is kind of blurry at times, but I don't know. I never known him as a huge drug user, but that could be possible. I wouldn't rule it out though.
Mm-hmm. So mommy is saying his journey has built his character, and this is why he will help others who suffer. That is true. Hearing your story actually brings back back to emancipation, Jamaica here over here. There's an
Right.
artist that we call Buju Banton, right? And he sung
Mhm.
a song that it's not an easy road, and you have shown that it's not an easy road. But even when the road rough and rocky, you still can reach on the greener pasture. Big up to Bojo. But indeed, we know say it wasn't an easy road.
Yeah, definitely. The easy road isn't always the road that people want to take. Because I've learned in life a lot of people do like the easy way out. But there's this song by, I want to say, Robert Tepper. It's from one of the Rocky films called
Mm,
"No Easy Way Out," and it's definitely one of the best songs ever because there's no shortcuts home at all. You just have to basically keep on fighting, keep on trucking, and just inspired to do the right thing. And I believe others will be inspired by you too as well.
mhm. And the thing is, growing up in Jamaica here, I always hear that shortcut draw blood, but the long road actually just draw sweat. So it's like the long road take a lot of time out of you, a lot of
Right.
energy out of you, but the short road most time might cost your life and them thing that the easy path might, because think about it, if you have stick to alcohol and so you basically throwing away your life right there.
Right, definitely. Yeah, I would have just basically, I don't know where I would have been if I would have kept drinking, but I definitely wouldn't have been in a good place at all. I would have still just been a janitor part time. I mean, I'm thankful right now that I have 3 books published and I work at
Mhm,
a school, but if I didn't give up the drinking, that it just wouldn't have happened.
mhm. So she's so blessed and highly favored. And you are blessed and highly favored. You, the speaker, Caleb, you are blessed and highly favored to go through all of that.
No, thank you,
Walking,
man.
walking miracle. Aside from writing, what else do you do to relieve yourself from the pain and hurt of losing your dad at such a young age?
For me, it's definitely the basketball court. It's weird because I met a lot of people. They always love to play basketball with other people. But for me, I don't know. I guess maybe I'm just a weirdo or something because I just like to play basketball by myself. I don't
Mm-hmm,
mind playing with other people, but it's something about just playing basketball, just shooting constant hoops over and over again. I could spend anywhere from 30 minutes to 3 hours there, and I just won't think about anything. People will probably try to call me or text me, and I'll just say, "Hey, I was just playing basketball. My apologies. Is there anything that I could do for you?" But that's like definitely one of the best things for me. It's basketball. It doesn't matter how hot it is. Sometimes I played out in the cold, and people looked at me like I was crazy, but
mm-hmm.
I didn't care. I just like to just be out there and just keep on shooting.
So on the basketball thing, what stopped you from be going pro? I think if that's what they call it over there.
Yeah, like the whole going pro thing. You say that again for me?
So I was asking what prevented you from going pro.
I think what just prevented me from going pro is probably, I definitely believe it was the mental health issues that I was going through. I remember when
Mm-hmm,
I tried out for the basketball team, it was like when I was 14. I remember my grandmother had just gotten sick, and the
mm-hmm,
last thing I could really think about when she passed away was basketball. That was the one thing that really hurt me inside because I stopped playing basketball and I lost my grandmother. So it was like, basically 2 stones to the heart. And
mm-hmm. I get
after
what.
that, I kind of just gave up basketball. But if it wasn't for my track coach, Mr. Croft, who I think he
Mm-hmm,
just saw a lot of potential in me. He was like, this old white guy, but he really saw a lot of potential in me. He decided he kept pushing me to do track and field. At first, I didn't want to do it, but I
mm-hmm,
was like, you know what? I'll give it a shot. So I started off throwing for a couple years, and then my senior junior years when I started running the 100-meter dash, and I
mm-hmm,
made my way all the way to conference, and I actually did fairly well for myself. Won a couple awards, and that
mm-hmm,
was that. But I still don't really have that much of an interest in track and field, and I rekindled with basketball when I turned 18 again.
mm-hmm. I get you. I get
Yo,
you. So Adanika Garden saying it's so easy to fall into the cycle of I think it's addiction,
yeah,
and
addiction.
even easier to convince ourselves that it's the only solution to our problems. And I agree with that.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. Adalika, I agree, and we agree as well. What makes you laugh, Caleb? So someone is trying to find out what made you laugh. What put a smile on your face?
Just basically, just enjoying life.
Mm-hmm.
Corny humor, not really taking myself too seriously. Those are the things that really make me laugh. Whenever I'm hanging out with like, my younger nephews or cousins or whatever, seeing their childhood joy brings me back to my own, adulthood joy. So
Mm-hmm.
just things like that, just hanging out and not really thinking too much about things and not necessarily always reminiscing about the good old times, but thinking more about how bright the future can be. I
Mm-hmm.
definitely say that makes me laugh.
Mm-hmm. So she said, "Hi, Miss Dorian. Dorian. That's how you pronounce it, right?
Yeah, Dorian, that's right. Yep.
Dorian. You did an amazing job. Many, many kudos to you. Yes, enough thanks and respect for bringing over such a lovely young man through the adversities and everything. big boy pants, big boy shirt, and big boy boots.
Yep.
What would you do if your father shows up seeking forgiveness? And do you feel you have healed enough for the situation that you would be able to give it? Yes, this is an interesting question.
Yep.
This is
I could answer this one. Yeah, I definitely believe that I've healed enough to hear him out. It's one of those things where I'd love to hear him out. I love to hear what he has to say, but I haven't healed enough where I don't think I'll be able to accept the full apology until he could actually admit what he did. So it could be one of those things where you could say, whatever I did, I was sorry, but I'm looking for that moment where I said, I'm sorry that tried to kill your mother when you were 6 years old and put you in that situation. I am
mhm,
truly sorry. And then after that, everything is squashed. We can go back to being father and son just like that.
mhm. You said repeat that.
Yeah, they just if he just basically, admits that what he did was wrong, said, I'm
Mhm,
sorry for actually trying to kill your mother when I was 6 years old,
mhm,
everything could go right back to me being, his son, him being
mhm.
my father, as simple as that.
So you're just waiting for him to admit it.
That's basically where I'm at right now at 26.
Mhm. And I think that's a good mindset.
Right.
I, and I totally understand what you're saying. So how do men open up? So
Mm.
let's answer the first question first.
That's a loaded question. Men open up in very different ways. I
Uh-huh.
know for me, I open up the more I feel comfortable with somebody. So if I don't feel comfortable with somebody, I just don't open up. But with other men, they feel 100. It's just about the comfort zone. I believe the more comfortable you are with somebody, the more you'll open up with them. But a man's not going to open up to somebody that he just doesn't trust. I believe trust is very vital to a man. And if he
Mhm,
can't trust you, then he's just going to be completely quiet and just observe the situation and respond accordingly.
mhm. You know, the funny thing you say about trust and how important it is. You know, the
Yep.
funny thing is whenever you think of a boy, the first color you think about is blue. And
Hmm.
I've read that blue is a color that represents trust.
Mm. I've
So
never heard that before.
so it's really intriguing if you look at it like that.
Right.
So the person continues saying, men are always so quiet about their feelings and they never talk about anything. How can we reach out to them so they can talk and get help to go through stuff?
Yeah, just going back to what I said earlier about the whole, trust issue. With things, obviously with me, I can only use my own personal experiences. I definitely had a lot of problems with trusting anybody.
Yeah.
I can relate back to what she's saying about, being so quiet about your feelings is because I thought being a man meant that you didn't have any. You basically just ignored everything and you were basically this stoic strength and
Mhm,
as much as you just wanted to talk about it, you just didn't want to come across as a punk. So,
mhm,
you basically bottled it up. You didn't really say much. But eventually, you found somebody to talk to. But it was just one of those things where counseling and therapy definitely helps out a lot because they get you to actually
mhm.
express yourself. Open up your emotions and just open up your heart a little bit more.
Yeah, and I understand what you're saying, and I fully agree with you. And even the thing about this feeling like a punk is like it's as if you've grown. It's like them program in our mind that men can never have any feelings, but either lust or anger. That's the only two things that somewhat seem acceptable by society. Otherwise, from
Yeah.
that, if you shed a tear, you're soft. No man, something wrong with you.
Hmm.
Yeah, no man. How you feel? How to be a man if you shed a tear? I saw them say it. It's like if just one teardrop come out your eye, automatically your gender change magically.
Yeah, you're basically, referred to as a punk or a sissy. You're not really a real man if you cry, and just
Mhm.
all these toxic things that people tried to put on me. And I would always question them. And as I get older, I started writing more books like this because I just basically say, well, why can't we just open up the conversation? And I just realized, I can't keep looking for everybody to open up the conversation. I just have to do it myself.
Mhm. Then we have to take the steering wheel. We can't wait on people to steer us into the right path. We have to
Right.
we have to let God steer it.
Hmm.
People always fail with most of the times. I really hope you can forgive him because I'm sure he didn't know what he was doing at the time. Well, that's that's something
Yeah.
I look at differently because
I
the
I definitely have to like disagree with this. I don't, I know that I'm sure he didn't know what he was doing at the time, but I'm sorry, but that's not an excuse. It's really not an excuse. I was 6 years old. It was just one of those things where I believe that if there was a problem, he
Mhm,
could have talked about it like a man. I mean, I'm sure that he probably didn't mean it, but it was one of those things where I believe a 6-year old child just didn't have to go through that. I really don't think he should have had to go through that at all. That's
mhm,
just my 2 cents on the matter, though.
I get you. My dad tried to tried to kill me when I was 19. Whoa. It
Mm.
took me a couple years, but I've learned that forgiveness is a gift I had to give to my dad for myself. Yeah, that's a touching story.
Yeah, that's a
Whoa.
touching story.
Hmm.
I mean, I wouldn't say that I hold any like hatred towards my father, but I do
Hmm.
not believe that right now I'm in that part of like forgiveness to him. I have to be honest with myself. If I'm
Hmm.
gonna come on the Talking Truth series, I have to be honest with myself. I can't necessarily 100% forgive him for what he
Hmm.
did at this time, but I don't hold any hatred towards him. I don't, go around here, badly talking about him. I'm sure, at one point or another, he was a good man, but
Hmm.
there's something that did happen to him, and it would be great if he would just, we could sit down here, he could admit what he did, and we could have a conversation. But
Hmm.
it's one of those things where there's something going on in his head, and I'd like to know what that is.
Hmm. I get you.
You know,
Diaries of a Wimpy Man. When I get this, this world needs to give men a break and let him live. Yes.
yeah,
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 man. Yeah,
yeah.
man. Every time, one of the topic where me always look on, they always I put on him on them. And
Yep.
most of the time, especially when it come to a comparison with women, you always
Hmm.
every man painting a bad picture. Automatically painting a bad picture. You could have been the most innocent person. You just fit your man, so you fit in a category.
Yep.
Yeah,
Definitely believe, just one of those things where, we definitely go through a lot of things. And I know in my society in America, it's still to this day really isn't easy for a lot of men to really just open up and just say, hey, this is what's going on with me. Because it's just, there's way too much trauma. And there's just, a whole bunch of trauma and just a whole
yeah.
bunch of ways that you have to unlearn. And that could be, you have to definitely give it some time. Definitely give it some time.
Hmm. Do you believe that you can ask people you've hurt for forgiveness if you haven't forgiven yourself for the injury you've caused to them or acknowledge that what you did was wrong? Well, if you, I believe, like, I know it's a question for you, but I'm saying that I believe if you haven't forgiven yourself or if you haven't acknowledged that it was wrong, the last part, especially if you haven't acknowledged that what you did was wrong, how can you ask for forgiveness? Because in your eyes, you're still not gonna view it as something you do wrong. So there is no reason for the person to feel bad, basically. That's what you're saying.
Right.
And the first part about forgiving yourself for injury, injury you've caused. I'm not sure about that part, but I know it's a question directed to you. So I'm giving you the floor to answer that question now.
Yeah, so I'm gonna do my best to answer this question. I could forgive people if they, told me that what they did was wrong. It's easy for me to do that, but I've learned with a lot of people that a lot of people are definitely full blown narcissists, and they actually don't know what they did was wrong at all, and they basically don't really care at all. So I would say that I don't have a problem necessarily forgiving people. It's just, it's about, with me, it's all about morals and principles. There's just right and there's wrong. And I don't really try to steer away in the gray area because that's the life that I used to live. And that's not the life I want to live anymore. But if you could admit that what you did was wrong, I could forgive you. But if you don't want to admit it, then I don't see how I should forgive you if you can't even, forgive yourself.
Yeah, I understand. Uh-huh. I agree with that. So, I don't know if you want to do it now, but if you, I'm just letting you get prepared to ask, like prepare the question that you plan to ask for our viewers to win the ebook of yours. So, huh? Yeah. So I'm just saying that just prepare the question and remember, viewers, please stay tuned because to deal with these issues of your mind suffering in silence is a must get book, It's a must
Yep.
get cause me I tell you say your story hit me different. I've
Yep.
never when I go through it whenever when I go through it like you or when I go through it only say I go through it because my father did it and thing for me and thing. But hearing you go through all of that, it just make me say no Lamar, no Lamar, no matter what come man, you can hold on.
Yep.
Yes, this man is a living miracle. Go through
Hmm.
all of that, go through addiction and then thing there, and decide say no man, no man, me I put on my suit and step out, step out.
Hmm.
At time, you see, it's got people more to not understand what really go on, because this man shows say never give up. You see, it's not about where you start. It's never about how you start in life. It's all about the middle and the end, because the middle is how you get to the end. The starting point is not really your decision. You start anyway, but the middle and the end is in your control. And this man shows I enough in control. He never let him problem him hurdles them in a way stop him jump over them and say, no man, you not. If him foot even clip the hurdle and him maybe drop him get up back and say, no, me I complete this race, me I reach that finish line when I set for myself. And this is why, guys, may I say it's a must get book, and also it's a story that it should inspire you to always hold on.
Right. Definitely. Hmm.
Now, thank you for coming. Like,
Yeah, no problem.
yeah,
Appreciate you having me.
the pleasure is all mine. Like, it's wonderful story, wonderful story. So, Elliston saying you can't go to the police station and report that a woman raped you as a man. Well, but badly in that situation, that's still It's like, bro,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I've
That
had that.
definitely happens. They'll
I've
they will
had,
basically just say, that you need to just man up or it's biologically impossible. But I've know many stories where there's actually more false rape accusations. And I was reading about one story about how one man, he was actually drugged up by three other women. I forgot where it was. I think it was either in Brazil or Africa. They
Mhm,
drugged him up on these these pills, and they were
mhm,
basically just having their way with him. And he tried
mhm.
to report it to the police, and nothing happened. So it was just sad, absolutely sad.
I've had that conversation with my virgins them before. Like,
Yep.
when I say if a woman rape you, and then most of them say, would you even call it rape, a woman, how you have call that a rape? I mean, I look at them and laugh still, cause, but it's just that even the concept of certain things. It's just like only certain things only woman can happen to.
Right.
Um, me get where I say, man. The unfair thing. So now we're going to do the giveaway. So I'm just saying, guys, just type ready and let me know if you're here and thing. You know, there's a delay on YouTube, so I'll take that in account and everything. So, me just have to stay tuned, make we know if you're ready and thing. And it's really sad. Yes, it's a sad story.
Yep.
But me not tell no lie still. That sad story has turned this man into a walking blessing, into a person who have really make change.
Mm-hmm.
So me want to me have a little tune where me have bust out for you and my viewers them.
Yep. Definitely.
Uh-huh. You can hear me?
Oh yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah.
So we have play the tune. So may I give you so while it a play, may I go in some time.
All right.
So you can hear it?
Yeah, I can hear it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Rhythm sound bad already.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm giving you guys time to get ready for the. Hey, this is called Summer Vibes. Hey, hey. I wasn't known for a dance, but me can. You know, I rap to the rhythm. Remember, guys, if you're ready, so ready. All right, so I'm going to leave you to the screen and then let you ask the question. So
All
I'm going
right.
to put you in the spotlight right now so you can ask your question.
All right. So, I guess the only question I want to ask is, when you wake up in the morning, do you actually truly look yourself in the mirror? And what I mean by looking yourself in the mirror, do you actually look at everything that you've been through, everything that you've done, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, and do you actually truly feel good about yourself? So I want to leave you with that question. Do you actually truly look in the mirror? And if the answer is yes, then I believe you're in a good space. But if the answer is no, I definitely believe you have some more work to do. And that will be my question.
Wait, so just for some clarity, because if, how would the viewer win this book by answering this question?
Uh, Yeah, basically, if they, just say that yes, I would definitely believe that, the person will be able to get the book. Or was it just
Oh
supposed to be choose at random? That's what I was told
no, so the question I was thinking about is like a question you'll ask based on what you've said tonight
based on what I've said tonight.
to check if they were really listening.
I would definitely say that my question would still, I say that it would still stand though.
Yeah, I get you.
So it'll
So,
basically be like yes or no. And if you answer yes,
mhm.
then, you'll be able to get the book.
So guys, he's basically saying the first person to type yes is going to be the winner tonight. So get those finger typing. It's just letters. Don't lose this
Yep.
opportunity. Three letters. Hey. Mm, mm, mm. Boss. 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 boss, 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 boss. Hey, so nobody wants to book tonight. It's just a simple YES.
Yeah, you know. The reason why I would say yes is, do you actually, when you read my book, you're going to read a lot of uncomfortable things that happen with men. And I definitely believe that, if you answer yes, you'll actually understand a lot more. But, you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Because the thing is, the reason even I look at it just a while ago, if the person says yes to the question, it truly shows that they're ready to make the step,
yeah.
change their life. So, guys, just let us know if you're ready to make that step. You guys have 2 more minutes. If no answer, if we don't get the yes within the 2 more minutes, I guess we'll call it. Oh, hey. The bomb with the time to ta to ta to ta to ta. Hey, boss in a God. Boss in a God. Hey, boss, we are boss in a God. We are boss in a God. So, tonight,
All right.
she sure said she wanted. She even said, she even said, wait, let me make sure they see me say it, Let me make sure they see it. So she said it 2 times. So I want to say congratulations to our winner tonight.
Yep. Congratulations.
Uh-huh. So guess what? I've heard about the tradition where you send your winner's speech. That long speech where you just say thanks and So just get your winner's speech while we get the contacts and so from Caleb. So how can we get a hold of you?
All right, you get a hold of me on my Instagram page, which is Caleb Hates Cake. I'm also available on Facebook. I also have my website, which is on Linktree, which is linktr.ee dash mark CHARR8. And that's where my book is, my blogs, my social media, my email, my consultations, all those things. You can just basically contact me. I'll get back to you as soon as possible.
Mhm. Yes. I want to thank you for coming out tonight.
Yep.
It really was a pleasure. Your story is very inspirational. At the age of 6, to experience your father, the one that helped brought you in this world, to take the life, to attempt to take the life of your mother.
Yeah.
That story is I whoa, I I don't know how I would handle a situation like that. Maybe I would be still struggling with it right now, but you've proven that we can get through it. No matter how deep the pit is, there's
Right.
always a way to climb out.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to thank you very much for coming out tonight. And remember, Tamika, we're still waiting on that winner's text or comment. Those winners speech. So yeah, man. Oh, wonderful story. Wonderful, wonderful. Continue to be determined. Viewers, this man is telling you there is no point in giving up. There, just continue to be determined. So, if you were supposed to leave a message to our viewers, what would that message be?
Just keep moving. That's really it. I mean, life is very hard. It's very complicated. It's very complex. I mean, there's some days I want to get up, some days I don't want to get up, but I
Mm-hmm.
just remember my purpose. My purpose has always been to, to educate people and, to inspire people. And, right now it's more, talking about men's mental health, but just most importantly in general, I just don't like when somebody gives up. And I just believe that it's the best way to go about your life is just to keep on pushing because that's the
Mm-hmm.
only thing you can do.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Thank you very much.
Nope.
And I want to say better luck next time to everybody else. And I hope you tune in next time. So don't let this defeat stop you, Don't make it stop you. As what we said, determination. One day it will come that it's your time to win. So stay determined and thank you very much for coming out tonight. And Shanik is saying congratulations, Tamika. And she's also saying better luck to all of us next time. And the next thing is saying, really excited that I win this book. Can't wait to go read your book. If
Yeah.
I'm here, if I'm here, win, I'm that run around the whole of my house. You hear me that excited.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, man. Me I tell you, say, based on your story and everything, it shows and the title of the book, Suffering Silent. A lot of us have keep some things inside, but we are suffer with. And the fact that your book address it, it's a must read.
Uh-huh.
No matter which age you are, it's a must read. Get the book, Suffering in Silence by Caleb Harris. It's a must read. It's a must read. And even me, who don't read book much often, knows I must read this. Because there are certain books in life where you know say you have to read because it have to change your life. This is one of those books. So, on behalf of myself and our producers, thanks to Caleb. Thank you, Caleb, for an amazing show tonight. More and thank you. Me I tell you, say, you know, Jamaicans, them always, me I say thanks, man, from the bottom of my heart.
Yeah, no problem, man. I appreciated you having me.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. You really make a difference. You make a difference, man. Story, because a lot of people struggle. Me no know if it's just a Jamaican common thing, but a lot of people struggle with the single parent thing and a lot of domestic issues, and especially
Uh-huh.
as a child seeing all of this in the home. Most time we just give up and we don't know what part to take and then think about you as enough respect. I'm on make you know if you're an author or you wanna have some testimony or so on want know say the man them out there for know and thing. So you guys can contact us and let us know and we'll try to get you on and things. So we'll go through the procedures and so just let us know. And thank you very much, Caleb, for coming out tonight.
Yep.
Thank you very much. And guys, I want to thank all the viewers for coming here. And remember to like, share, subscribe, and comment. And remember, guys, as what Caleb said, always remain determined because determination is just that push we need to reach the greener pasture. Never focus on the starting line. Focus on the middle and the end. Thank you guys for coming on. Have a great night to all. Peace.
Yeah, take care.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, guys. Good night.